We're going to give it another minute for attendees to join us, and then we'll get started. Okay, Brandon, I think we can go ahead and get started.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Welcome. My name is Brendan Liskey. I am currently serving as the chair of the Workforce Development Committee. Tell you a little bit about us. We formed this committee about a year ago. Our mission is to foster and support the development of future professionals in Ohio's built environment. During this past year, our committee has met with ACEC Ohio members who serve on university advisory boards to learn what steps universities in Ohio are currently taking to attract and retain students to enter into our industry. We also discussed where we think gaps are and how ACEC Ohio can help. From these discussions, we are working on creating a portal for ACEC Ohio members to access volunteer opportunities and list themselves in a database for universities to find volunteers for a given discipline and region. You may have seen some of us walking around with Spider-Man pins on at ACEC and had business cards with a QR link to get you to the spot on ACEC Ohio's webpage. If you haven't seen that yet, I recommend checking it out. We can at the end here we can post a link to it for you all if you want to get more information on that. And finally, one of our committee's biggest efforts this year has been focused on developing a database of current programs in Ohio that are actively working on attracting students into our industry. This whole initiative is such a big elephant to try to tackle, and so we're trying to chip at it, and we don't want to start from square one. There's a lot of great organizations out there that already are working on outreach to students and getting young people interested in what we do. And so we've identified 4 organizations as a pilot program, and those organizations have representatives with us here today. Those are NAWIC Block Kids, the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio, Future Cities, and Ohio Academy of Science. We picked these organizations based on connection throughout the state, and also between them provides a diversity of age of students that they target. So with us today, we have Matt Markey and Holly Tucker from Future City, Claire Ramsey from Educational Service Center of Central Ohio, Michael Wojtek from Ohio Academy of Science, and Colleen Cross from NAWIC Block Kids. So how this is going to work is we'll go through, give each organization a time to present, tell you about them. And once we get through all 4, we're going to break up the attendees into breakout sessions and give a small group an opportunity to have some follow-up questions and discussions with each of the representatives. So with that, I'll turn it over to Matt and Holly to kick us off with Future City.
Okay, great. Thanks. And thanks for inviting us to join the Roadshow. I appreciate that. Let's see. Did I share the right screen? Do you guys see a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Matt Markey. I am Dam Safety Program Manager at the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, but I'm also Vice Chair for the Future City Ohio Region Board. I'm joined today by our Regional Coordinator, Holly Tucker, who will help me out in the kind of the breakout session afterwards. So Holly, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Matt. So my name is Holly Tucker, and I am the Chief of the Office of Environmental Education here at Ohio EPA. So I work with Matt specifically in regards to the Future City competition. And so I'm happy to be here today and looking forward to our engagement with you. Matt, back to you.
Thanks, Holly. Yeah, let's talk about Future City. So the Future City project is one of many initiatives that's headed off by Discover E, who's kind of the parent organization nationally. And it's a project-based learning program or project for students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So we target middle schools, but throughout the state, the starting age for middle school varies. So it's specifically for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. What's nice is the whole program, the cost to compete in the program is pretty low. $25 for a registration fee, $100 maximum on materials students are allowed to spend to build their scale models. And then obviously the students need cost of transportation that's typically taken care of by the school district to get them and their team to the regional competition, which is held in Columbus. So basically the project allows for the application of math and science to be applied to a real world scenario for the students. The teams compete in regions. Ohio consists of one region within the borders of the state. However, some states have multiple regions like Texas and Pennsylvania. There are some schools in Ohio that actually host mini competitions, and then they'll send the best team from that school onto the Ohio region. But for the most part, most schools that compete just compete with one team. And what's really cool is the winner of the Ohio region gets to go on about a month later and compete in Washington, D.C. against teams from around the country and also internationally. We typically get teams from China, India, I think Africa as well, competed last year. And then if a school, succeeds in winning 3 years in a row, then we do allow for 2 schools to compete at the national competition. But this year's challenge, which changes every year, is above the current. Students are asked to design a floating city and provide 2 innovative examples of how that floating city works and keeps its citizens healthy and safe. So it basically challenges the students to think and do research and try to understand what a futuristic city might look like. The cool part is that the students are asked to use the engineering design process as they go through their project. So they need to understand the challenge and the goals, learning requirements for each deliverable by reading a program that's generated by the national competition every year. They create a schedule and assign tasks. This is completely student-led, and they gather information through research. They're asked to complete multiple deliverables, both physical deliverables and then an in-person presentation, as well as building a physical model of their futuristic city. And finally, they practice their presentation and actually go through a question answer session with professionals in the industry. A lot of engineers, architects, planners are on those panels of judges in the competition. So the really cool part about this competition is the participation we get. So back in 2015 and 2020, Discovery hired a firm to evaluate the effectiveness of the competition by interviewing the participants each of those competition years, and they found some really cool statistics. So first of all, about half the competitors or participants, if you will, are female. There's a large percentage of minority students that compete, and a large percentage of Title I schools. If you're unfamiliar, those are schools that get federal funding to help students from low-income families. So we really like to see more involvement from Title I schools and do what we can to encourage those schools to compete. But when they surveyed the students, they found a couple cool statistics I have there listed on the right, but I'll highlight a couple. 73% are more aware of civics issues like politics and taxes. I didn't know anything about politics or taxes when I was in middle school, but it's pretty cool that they kind of get exposed to that a little bit through the competition. 85% see that math and science are important to their future. And then 68% see themselves becoming engineers, which is really cool. For students that otherwise maybe don't have parents who are engineers or don't have exposure to that industry. This is our competition schedule at a glance. So really the bulk of the competition happens from August through February. Schools, once they get in school in August, they work until about December on completing their deliverables. Those get submitted. Then in January, we host our regional competition. And of course, the winner goes on and competes in February at the national competition. The actual deliverables consist of a project plan that, again, is student-led. That it's basically a series of self-guided worksheets that help them plan the project and plan out their schedules and assign roles and stuff like that. The city essay is a 1,500-word essay that describes the city and attempts to answer the design challenge. And then they build their physical model, which again is limited to $100 total cost. You'll see a lot of recycled materials used. And I'll have a couple pictures to show you what those look like. And then finally, the students prepare for their presentation. And they really go all out. They'll do skits, they'll dress up, they'll have props. I think one year there was the theme was they had an alien visit their city. And so one person was dressed as a green alien and the other two people had to introduce the alien to the city and how it worked. So it's really clever and they do a really good job with it. Here are some examples of some of the cities that have been submitted at the Ohio region over the last couple of years. You can see the creativity, the color. No two cities ever look alike. They do a really good job with creativity and finding recycled materials and repurposing them into buildings and structures. So then we get to the regional competition, which is a live in-person competition held in January. So the students are asked to go through two kind of rounds of judging in the preliminary. They go through a Q&A round with judges. They've got 7 minutes to present to the judges. Then they get 8 minutes answering questions from the judges about their presentation or about their model. And then they go through a series of presentations to special award judges, and I'll get to those in a second. And then after lunch, while we're tallying all the scores, we rank the schools, 1 through 10 or 1 through 16, however many are competing. And the top 5 move on to what we call the final round. So in the award ceremony, which starts right after lunch, everyone's in a large ballroom setting. And on stage, we have a new panel of judges. We call them VIP judges. They typically are like CEOs or people that are very high up in companies throughout the industry or tied to some of our large donors. And the students, the top 5 schools go up one at a time and actually do the same judging session, but in front of everybody, all their parents, all the other schools, that didn't make the top 5. And then we have a nice keynote speaker, and then we announce all the final standings and who won the competition after we do final scoring. So it's pretty impressive what the students are able to do, especially under pressure like that on stage in front of everybody, trying to answer questions from engineers and scientists. And then this is a list of special awards. So a couple of ways that we could use assistance, particularly from ACEC, but also from the companies that you work for, is through special awards. This is one piece. So these are a list of kind of the 11 most common special awards. Every year, Nationals has the option of adding some, but any company can sponsor an award, and that sponsorship allows you to have a couple people from your firm come and actually do the judging for that special award. You'll get your logo on the special award plaque itself or the printout, and then your name's obviously in the program as being a sponsor. So that's one way. The other way is providing judges, as I mentioned, special awards judges, but also judges for the live Q&A sessions. We're always looking for more judges, and then also mentors. So The team consists of 3 students, an educator, and a mentor, if they can find one. A lot of times, a student may have a parent who's an engineer or in a related field, and so they'll use them as their mentor. But there's a number of schools that sign up every year that just can't find one, and it's difficult for us to find them. So even if you're not interested in being a mentor, we'd certainly appreciate tapping into your networks and maybe sharing any posts from myself or from other Future City members when we're asking for interest in mentorship to kind of get the word out that we're looking for that. So I guess I'll end on just talking about the composition of our board. You can see we have a lot of engineers on the board. We have our Ms. Chris Connick is our resident librarian, who actually has actual experience working with students in schools and tells us when we're crazy. And of course, Holly Tucker, our regional coordinator from the Ohio EPA. The Ohio EPA is a great sponsor of the organization. They invest a lot of time and effort into making this organization happen and make the competition happen. So I've got some other thoughts, but I think I'll save that for our breakout session if you have questions. So thanks a lot for inviting us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. That was great. Turn it over now to Educational Service Center of Central Ohio with Claire Ramsey.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen, if that's all right. Thank you. Wonderful. So my name is Claire Ramsey, and I am filling in for these lovely people. Let's go to the second slide. From the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio, as well as Bridge Ed, who are our partners on the high school tech internship process. So there we go. The high school tech internship program, if you have not been previously involved, is a reimbursement program. It comes down from the Office of Workforce Transformation and reimburses Ohio employers for hosting high school students who have aptitude and interest and oftentimes some experience through coursework and technology-focused roles. The goal is for the businesses to get tech talent and develop a pipeline, and as well as giving students experience at an early age. So as businesses, you're asked to produce an entry-level job description in any of these technology roles. I know these are high level. I mean, software development, data, cloud and IT infrastructure. I've seen students in this program do drone surveillance on agriculture industries on farms. I've seen students get the high school tech internship in automotive dealerships because they're working with the computer programming and hybrid and today's vehicles. So there's a lot of opportunity for flexibility outside of these roles because of how successful this opportunity has been for in-demand technology-focused roles. This is the map that is given to us by the Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation. We are that blue in the middle, the 11 counties that you see for the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio region, but there are 5 other intermediaries. If you're a business that has multiple locations, you're welcome to work. These are not rigid borders. You're welcome to work with us. You're welcome to work with the people in the other area. You're welcome to work with both. I think the goal is student access and employer gain. It's supposed to be collaborative. So we would love to see you work with any of the students in this. Internships can start as early as January 2nd of 2025, and they can end as late as September 30th. I will say that all students have to be placed by June 13th to get the reimbursement from OWT. And employer, it is a reimbursement process. So that starts after October 10th. So you're paying the student a salary as a W-2 employee, and then you're being reimbursed their wages by the Ohio Department of Development after October 10th. Employers that are private, non-public, educational entities, government, all eligible. If you think that you're a gray area or you don't quite fall in one of these, I'll put the email in the chat after this presentation so that way you can talk with us directly and we can soundboard what your thoughts are. Seen a lot of success actually in all of these. And if you're a smaller employer, or if you're just not sure that you can provide this type of salary, the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio can be employer on record for your students. So if you say, I want this student, there's a slightly different process, but we would pay the student $15 an hour. And this slide actually gets into how many hours they would be completing. So this gets a little technical, and when you reach out, we'll give you this information. But your students need to complete a minimum of 120 hours to be partially reimbursed. It's 2/3 rate at that point. Obviously, we really want all students to complete the 200 or more hours rate wage, but sometimes things come up due to no fault of the student. That's why that's in place. But I would really emphasize finding a good match. When I've seen this succeed, I'm seeing students with interest and aptitude often being recommended by an ESC, an instructor, an admin, and the employer interviewing the student. So reimbursement is up to $5,000 per student. So depending on if you're paying $12 an hour, $15 an hour more, paying attention to that so that way you can make sure to get reimbursed the wages that are going out. As the employer of record, if you're interested in something like that, we would need a digital application process from you, a BCI, FEI background check, and the electronic payment process. This is something that you would be working directly with John Hambrick on. And he's so approachable. If you haven't met him, I'm certainly not giving this presentation the optimism and gratitude that he can usually muster. He's a delightful human. In terms of eligible students, they just have to be 19 years or younger on January 2nd or whenever they start their internship. So if they graduate in the spring of 2025, they are still eligible as long as they're 19 or younger. Yeah, and you have to start your student before June 13th. Know that it's a reimbursement process. You won't be reimbursed. Honestly, it's unlikely to be reimbursed before the end of October, but there's always a chance. But we have to complete all of the forms and have them submitted by October 10th. The student, if that first bullet point, if they drop out and complete less than the required hours, that's 120 hours, then you're ineligible for reimbursement. You are out of pocket expense at that point. So really finding those good fits to make sure you can get at least 120 hours, if not 200 hours, which has been consistently successful. And this is a paid internship process. The students are W-2 employees. They're considered entry-level employees at that point. They are responsible to adhere the company's workplace policies. And yeah, just thinking about what's next on all of this, because I'm trying to keep, I think I'm probably about out of time. There are a few QR codes. If you're listening to this and you're super interested and you're like, oh, this is definitely something that I want to do, I can put it back in whole screen. This is the Bridge Ed form. So they would be, if you complete the QR, or I can get these slides to our hosts and that you can see the link on there, but you would need an entry-level job description detailing what the student would be doing, a W-9, and completing this intake form for the application process. Students and parents would connect with their school. You can look it up online at escco.org/HISTE, High School Tech Internship, right? You would need to contact your school, work on your resume, and know your schedule. Are you available? Can you fit 200 hours in despite camps, vacations, extracurricular activities? We will also be posting jobs as they are available. And we're going to encourage our partner school districts to put these opportunities on SchoolLink, Canva, Schoology, all of those. And with my final moments, I wanted to give shout out to SYNC, the STEM Industry Council, and Columbus City Schools, because there is opportunity to support Columbus City School students with this. And if that is your area of interest, we want this opportunity to be available and accessible to all students, across all of these counties in the whole state of Ohio. If your heart is with Columbus City School students in particular, this QR code will take you directly there. I think I saw that Beth Thornton was in this, so you might be able to speak more to the SYNC network, certainly than I can, but it's a statewide workforce development organization where students can get registered, and it sounds like there's a wonderful partnership going on here in the STEM industry and with our schools. So would love to keep that flow going. And if you're just unsure, you're like, I'm not really sure if this is something I want to do yet, but I'm a little interested, you piqued my interest, this QR code will get you to just a Q&A. We'd be happy to soundboard with you to figure out what exactly it is. Maybe you want an example of a job description, what that could look like. Maybe you're like, I'm in this gray area. So please reach out, and I'll put our emails in the chat. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Claire. We'll turn over now to Michael with the Ohio Academy of Science.
Okay, I'm going to let Allie Gruber also join the call, and Allie will put our slide deck up currently as well.
Can you see it? Is it up? All right.
I still see, I don't see our slide deck. I see Claire's slide deck. There.
That better.
Well, thank you so much. I want to thank ACEC for inviting us to be a part of this conference, and also we're honored to be included among all of the other great programs that are being presented today. I'm Mike Wojtek. I'm the Executive Director for the Ohio Academy of Science, and on the call with me is Allie Gruber. She is our program specialist. So the Academy, we're a non-for-profit. If you want to go to the next slide, Alan. Yeah, we're a non-for-profit membership-based organization. We're volunteer-driven, and the purpose of the Academy is to foster curiosity, discovery, innovation, and to unite all who value education, science, technology, or their applications to benefit society. So early on, the Academy was formed in 1891. It was obviously before the Internet of Things. Professional practitioners, researchers, academicians had a very difficult time networking, disseminating research. So we created those opportunities, their own society to do so, annual symposiums, conferences, and also publication opportunities. Interestingly, the OAS in the late 1940s wanted these opportunities to be available to pre-college students. So they organized programs that encourage students to practice science, engineering, technology as a professional practitioner, to apply what they were learning and to use inquiry-based research, to use the engineering process to answer questions, solve problems, and we continue to do so. We continue to also maintain programs for college students. Allie has a slide up for our annual meeting. That's part of the annual symposium that I'm speaking of. That will take place at Miami University this April. So our pre-college programs consist of essentially there are two main programs, Science Day and Ohio STEP. I guess I'll start with the bottom one, Science Day, which is a personalized science fair program. When I say personalized, it is a student-driven process where they come up with either a testable question, inquiry-based research question, hypothesis-based question, and they use the experimentation process to solve that problem. They design that experiment, they collect data, they synthesize that data and present it. They present it to be evaluated by judges, and those judges really act also as mentors. They're expected to not only evaluate the project, but they're supposed to or expected to pass along constructive feedback for project improvement, for how the student might approach that project in the future, or things they may want to consider. But it's a very, it's a very interesting process in the way students are able to interact with professional practitioners. So those projects are either evaluated as a hypothesis-based question and inquiry-based research project, or it's looked at as an engineering design question, where a student tries to solve a problem by prototyping a solution, creating a design from a conceptual idea. And Ohio STEP is an extension of that, where students are not only encouraged to use science and technology to answer questions, but also consider marketplace determinations and whether a product, a service, a problem-based solution may have an opportunity to be considered as a marketplace idea, and whether they have the ability to commercialize that idea or turn aspects of that process into perhaps a business plan. Both programs are available for middle school and high school students, and the Science Day program culminates into regional events that happen across the state of Ohio, and also the celebration of science that occurs at Ohio State University in the month of May. I don't know exactly what that next slide is. The way you could be involved and informed of these opportunities, members of ACEC can also be members in the Ohio Academy of Science. This is a way we can get you on our priority list of announcements, updates, and also recruitment for the various programs. There's no cost to join. That particular membership is covered under an arrangement between the Academy and ACEC. So that's really the best way to become informed of what's going on. Currently, we have an event scheduled for March 2nd, which is the Buckeye Science and Engineering Fair. It'll take place at CAS, as I mentioned, on March 2. Students will be competing for the opportunity to be considered for the International Science and Engineering Fair. It is an incredible platform and an opportunity for students to be considered on a world stage. It will this year, it'll take place in Columbus from May 11th to May 16th, and that'll take place at the Columbus Convention Center. But this is the opportunity for us to support Ohio students, for Ohio students to be considered to become eligible for the international. Students from all 88 counties in Ohio are eligible to participate, and these are very, very high level projects. Many times people think that the only way a student could advance is if they're doing work with a mentor or somebody that's affiliated with a research institution. And that really isn't the case. We have many students that come up with their own projects, their own ideas, their own problems, and we call them the DIY projects. They're really quite interesting to see what they do with the actual resources that they have available. If you're interested in signing up to be a judge, there is a link on this slide, and I hope we'll make these slide decks available to all of the participants on the call. Also volunteering at the Celebration of Science. I mentioned it'll take place at Ohio State on May 10th, 2025. Students their projects will be evaluated prior to the event, but this is an opportunity for them to publicly showcase their project engage with professional practitioners. It's really styled as a symposium, and it's really for the students to be able to share, interact with each other, interact with the community of professionals that attend the event, and also provide them with a sense of connection to that community. This spring, we've begun a mentorship program. The mentorship program is to really demystify the process of a student-led research program. It's applicable to both the Science Day program and Ohio STEP, and it connects mentors directly to classroom settings where a teacher assigns the mentor to student projects. The goal and the inspiration for us starting this mentorship program is so that students can have access to more resources earlier in the process. So developing their projects, they're not showing up for the first time in February and demonstrating what they've done, but they have the ability to show what they're currently working on, how they're putting their project together, the methodology, the ideas, whether it's developing a prototype or working on their experiment. From the background research process to developing that testable question, mentors are available to provide that overview and insight. And again, that is a pilot program that started this year. Our hope and our goal is to scale that and to take that as a statewide initiative in the fall of 2025. If you have questions, you can send them to info@ohiosci.org. Our website is available on the slide deck as well, or you could call the office.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll turn it over now to Colleen from NAWIC Black Kids.
Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I am Colleen Cross. I am with NAWIC, which is the National Association of Women in Construction. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I am a project manager with CK Construction. And I'm a member of the Columbus chapter of NAWIC, previously the chapter president between 2021 and 2023. A little bit about NAWIC National. We are a national organization that was founded in 1953 by 16 women in Texas. Currently, we have over 6,000 members nationwide across 18 chapters, and then there's also 6 affiliate international organizations. We in Ohio are part of the North Central region. So I've listed here our list of chapters that are specifically in Ohio. We are combined with parts of Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Tennessee, Indiana, and Michigan. But we've got Akron, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Lima, Ohio, and Toledo are part of our organization. So I'm from the Columbus chapter, but this kind of applies to all folks in Ohio. So a little bit about what NAWIC is and what we do. One of our visions is to champion women and making that direct impact to the construction industry. So focusing on women and trying to be on the forefront of change, but we do that through professional development, community involvement, and networking opportunities. So some of our professional development includes like really giving our members demonstrations of things in the safety world, whether that's PPE specific for women or job site tours of projects in downtown Columbus. We also do a lot of networking with other organizations in Columbus that have that overlap with the construction industry. But then community involvement, which I think is one of the big reasons why we're here today, is Block Kids. This is part of our NAWIC Education Foundation. First, I want to touch base. We do have a scholarship. Most of our chapters do. Our chapter sponsors two $1,000 scholarships, one for a student in the higher education undergraduate degree program and one in a trade specific. So we were happy enough for the past 2 years, we've awarded two each year for $1,000 to students in the trades and then students pursuing a higher education degree. But our Columbus program has been doing, I think for the past at least 15 years, the Block Kids program, which is another national competition organized by NAWIC. So chapters all across the US give students, I think they get roughly like 45 minutes to build something construction related. They're given a small rock, string, foil, poster board, and 100 Lego pieces, and then asked to build something construction related. So really just kind of trying to introduce those ideas early on to students. We typically have I would say somewhere between like 200 and 300 students each year that comes through this event. We host it with Broad Peak Elementary here in the Columbus area, and we've been doing it here for a long time. So we have a great relationship with the school. So here's some more photos from Block Kids this past year specifically. We typically bring in around somewhere between 40 and 50 judges from the industry to have come in and do the actual judging of the competition. The far right photo is of the student who won last year's competition, which went on to win our region and then second place nationally. And then they get a little prize pack that's associated with it. But again, just gearing that our age range, it can range between 3rd grade and 6th grade. Our chapter specifically, we focus on 3rd and 4th grade, which really that 3rd and 4th grade is the time frame in which students start to really change from being those sort of like imaginative things that they want to be into like real life, what they think that they want to do, as well as growth confidence peaks in 3rd grade as well. Some other things that NAWIC does is the networking opportunities. Part of our chapter, we have 54 members across 36 companies, and we host roughly 10 minimum events each year. So these are just some photos from some of them. Whether it's a social event like candle pouring, we always go every year to Ohio Cat, lets us operate their equipment. It's a fun day. Golf lessons for our industry. Women often aren't invited to the golf outings, primarily because it's a little intimidating for us. So we're not shown interest. So we try to get some basic golf tips and then the networking opportunities. Our membership is based on individuals. So it's you yourself have your membership. That we have a bunch of different types, and if anybody's interested, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. But we do offer like multi-member corporate discounts. So some upcoming events specific to the Columbus area. We host Block Kids in October, so that just happened. We are this coming next week. We have a panel discussion with the Ohio State University Construction System Management, and then Women in Construction student clubs. We have a social in December. We also do sort of like self-advocacy, so personal financial planning. Women in Construction Week is in March. Dirt and Skirts, which is the event with Ohio Cat, golf lessons, and then we do our calendar planning. In addition, we have an annual conference each year. This past year, I went to Texas for it. It's just a great opportunity to meet with other women in the industry, as well as our chapter will be hosting our regional conference here this coming spring. So April 1st to the 4th at the Hilton Columbus at Easton, we will be hosting our region. So that's Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So that is pretty much my presentation. I've got a QR code here that just takes you to our website, more about our chapter specifically. But if anybody's located in any other part of Ohio, I can also get you the information for those chapters.
All right, thanks a lot, Colleen. So with that, go ahead and separate out into our breakout sessions.
Yep, Brennan, just give us 1 second to get everyone set up.
All right, cool. Thank you.
If you haven't joined your breakout room, please go ahead and join your breakout room. Hey Dave, can you please go to room 1?
Okay, I think, oh, I think.
We're back. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I hope you all learned something helpful today of how to get involved in these great organizations. If you're interested in learning more, ACEC Ohio does have links to each of these organizations on our webpage. If you go to accohio.org and go under the resources tab, there is a workforce development page there where you can see links to each of these organizations, and also that's where our sign-up sheet is if you want to and be part of our database for universities to get a hold of volunteers. So multiple ways there to help us with our workforce development initiatives. Big shout out, thanks to the ACC Ohio team, Haley, Lexi, Beth, you're awesome. Thanks for all your support and putting this all together. I think this was a great event and looking forward to doing it again in the future. And thanks to Cindy Yerke, our vice chair for the committee. And thank you very much to all of our guest speakers. That was great to have you all on here, and glad we were able to find time that worked for all of you. So with that, thanks, and
you.
see you all soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.